We are the next Oprahs in a way.
In a way.
In a way.
This is another time capsule of what it was like to be a kid without a cell phone.
Mm-hmm. The whole thing is a hot mess express. Anyway, when we're talking about gay men,
this episode is just craziness.
I love this episode.
I haven't watched this since like back in the day, and I'm like, so good.
Hi, I'm Dustin, and on the Rewatch Recap, friends and I will revisit a favorite television series from years past and break down a season episode by episode and see if it hits the same the second time around. You'll get nostalgia, you'll get trivia, and maybe a few laughs along the way. Watch along with us and listen to the Rewatch Recap every Monday where most audio podcasts are played.
Hey guys, it's your good friend George with his good friend Megan, and guess what, everyone? The No Season 2 podcast is back!
Yeah, we are. But don't you think it would have been more appropriate if our podcast about TV shows that only lasted one season only had one season?
Whatever, Megan. Can we get just a little enthusiasm over there?
Fine. How's this? The No Season 2 podcast is back.
Oh, that's so much better.
I know.
Megan, last season we were in high school in Pittsburgh going through all of the feels. But this season, we're going to be kicking ass and taking names in space because we're going to be talking about the space western Firefly.
That's right. So join us every week where we rewatch, reevaluate, and in some cases, well, let's be honest, most cases, relitigate this cult classic from the early aughts.
Strap in, everyone. It's going to be quite the ride.
How are you?
How are you?
Fantastic. Forgive me for being late. I just spilled water all over my apartment floor.
how? Why?
I dropped a cup. It was too much. I was all stuff in my hands. But how are you? How have you been?
I've been good. I'm glad we're able to connect and do this. I'm glad you guys invited me on, so I appreciate it. So we're gonna have. So how long do we go for? Like, give me the spiel.
So yeah, I mean, we'll probably go for an hour, and yeah, I mean, I think for the listener / viewer, it would be nice of them to know that. I mean, at least I know, you and Andrew may have a history before me, but I met you for the first time at the Open Relationship Podcast live show that we visited in Atlanta. God, I don't know. What is today? Friday, the 6th of September. So that was like Thursday, the last Thursday night of August. So I met you for the first time there, and you were hosting that live show. And God, it was a fantastic, fun experience. So from there, I thought, hey, in addition to having the Open Relationship Podcast guys on eventually, why not have the fly aunt, or is it aunt? Do you pronounce it aunt or aunt? Aunt. Okay.
I'm north than me.
There you go. I don't know if it's like white people say aunt and black people say aunt. Is that a thing at all?
I don't know. I equate it to like a north and southern thing. So mostly everybody up north says aunt, and people in the south say auntie.
Got it.
So that's what I say.
I always get auntie from the South because I say auntie all the time.
Yeah, that's how I say. I hear it too. Everybody, like all my people up north, we say aunt. Everybody down here is auntie. So.
I love that. I call my aunt neither of that because my aunt or aunt is Haitian, and in the Haitian community, typically the aunt is the. Yeah, are you Haitian too?
By penetration.
I mean, you had sex with a Haitian? Is that what that means?
I have 3 children. All of their dads. They have 2 dads, and they're Haitian.
There you go. Love that.
In South Florida, so that should help explain it.
Yeah. Literally, so I'm originally from Connecticut, and I would tell you that probably like 90% of the Haitian church I went to said fuck it to Connecticut and just moved to Florida. Like all of them are just crowded there in some place in Florida now.
I love my zoes.
But anyway, so I call my aunt Ninin. I don't know if you've ever heard that from the Haitian guy that you were with, but Ninin, I think, is Haitian for godmother, which my aunt is also for me. So, yeah.
Which is common in the Haitian community to be related to and be a godmom at the same time, for sure.
Absolutely. So let's start from the beginning, Ebony. First of all, how did you become this brand called the Fly Aunt with your podcast and all the good times that you got with it?
Sure. So the fly, basically, I only have one sister, and before she passed, she had one son, and that's my nephew. And like me and him, like we have a good time, and he'll tell me, "Oh, you just look so fabulous," or he'll say this or that. So like being an auntie is really like super important to me because that's why I feel like that's like the little gift my sister left. So being an aunt is super important. And, I feel like I'm fly. So the two together brings us to the fly aunt. And I feel like I bring, some people take auntie like it's like a bad thing. But I feel like I embrace it a lot, and I feel like I make being an auntie is a very cool thing to be. So the fly aunt.
Can you tell us why some people may perceive auntie as a bad thing? Like, what are the stereotypes associated with it?
I've heard like some negative connotations, like even Mary J. Blige, when somebody had called her auntie, she was like, "Don't call me auntie." Like, I feel like it makes maybe some people feel like they're old or dated, but for me, I kind of embrace those kind of terms. I'm like, when people are like, "Oh, well, I'm old," I'm like, "No, honey, you seasoned. Like, you're not old, you're seasoned." Like, I think perspective goes a long way. Like if you embrace certain what people try to maybe put labels on you or maybe try to make into a negative connotation, I think if you can find the light in it, then you make it light. You don't have to take on what everybody else may give you.
So taking on the fly on thing, how did that go from something within a family circle to something that you want to build as a podcast brand?
I think, sometimes, those little things you just start out with an Instagram name, right? Like, I'm gonna be the fly aunt, and that's just gonna be my Instagram name. And then when I decided to, step into podcasting, I'm like, this could be like a whole brand. Like, there isn't many people, claiming to be the fly aunt. I'm an 80s baby. I like the word fly, dope, those kind of words, So I'm like, I'm a hip hop head. I'm like, so why not just be the fly aunt, make it your brand, make it a part of who you are in your everyday life. So even when I show up and I go to places, I carry the fly aunt energy with me. Even when I'm just being Ebony, I carry the fly aunt energy with me.
Got it. So when one tunes the podcast Conversations with a Fly Aunt, can you give us just an idea of what kind of episodes they could look forward to? Like what kind of conversations are you having?
Sure. So we have lighthearted. We may have some uncomfortable conversations, but I really like to provide quality content. So you may hear about financial literacy. You may hear about poisonous parenting. You may hear recently we did some, we had like a girl chat, just talking about dating. Me and my daughter, we've done a few episodes, most recently about college readiness. Today's episode that dropped was about dating expectations. So we like to do quality content that we hope will scratch the surface and open up a bigger conversation amongst people. We're not into anything that is going to be divisive towards the community, or we're not into doing anything that is, outrageous, like we're chasing some kind of fandom, like, like that quick, like how people just like do stuff just for the shock value. I guess that's the right word to say. We want quality content. We want our viewers, when they come and they log on and they spend some time with us, to know that a lot of effort was put into it. We're not just, jumping on and saying the first thing that comes to our mind. We want to give quality and thoughtful content.
I really loved your episode on dating and courting. I listened to that the other day. That was really fantastic. And what really touched me was, now, first of all, the other ladies that you were doing the episode with, are those just friends of yours? Like, what are your relationships?
Yes.
I love
Friends of mine, great girls.
And I love how you guys have this perfect balance of stating emphatically, directly what you would want in a man, in terms of like a religious background, or in your case, you would like a guy that's taller than you. And I like how you are being direct and honest, stating those things, but at the same time, making it a judgment-free space for people who may not want those things, who may want other things in sort of their ideal partner. Because I think it could be very easy to go the route of like, all right, these are the things that I want in a partner, and because of that, that's the right thing that everybody should be looking for in their partner as well. And the fact that you guys had that balance of like opinionated but also open-minded, I really was drawn into that episode because of that.
Thank you so much. I think you giving that feedback, that's exactly what we want it to be. Like, you can like this and I can like that. At the end of the day, when I decide, whomever I'm going to settle down with, or you decide, that's your decision. Don't base it off of what I like. And also too, I like perspective. So like, I'm open to hearing what other people think or want. I'm like, oh, that might be a good idea. But some of the girls, they're very strong in opinions, and they're just like, I just have to have someone taller than me. I know it's shallow, but I just have to have it. And I'm like, I'll take a little shorty doo-wop. If he checks all my boxes, I'll take a shorty doo-wop. It doesn't matter.
Ebony, you have me seen right now because my boyfriend cannot be shorter than me. It's something that I am not okay with.
And I like how you say that, Andrew, because like, when it comes to like specific height preferences, I feel like that's always a thing that we only hear from like women in regards to men. And I think a part of me has always been curious if like the queer community had those same kind of height preferences as well.
I'm not going to put it on the community. I just need a man with big enough hands to consensually put them around my neck and toss me into bed.
Well, I love it. I love it.
Now, Ebony, I have a question for you because you've said it before, and you said it on a few of your episodes. Sometimes we are going to have uncomfortable conversations. What is that like when you are planning a topic or planning a subject and inviting guests in, knowing that conversation can get to those touchy points?
Ooh, that's a great question. I think for me, I always remember, even though, because you're leveraging your friendships, you're leveraging your community, you're networking with people. But at the end of the day, I take what it is that I do very seriously, and people are just not fodder for my discussions, right? So when I know things can be touchy or elevated, I definitely put myself in their shoes and how they may react to this question. And sometimes you'll see I may preface like, I always want to be respectful. So if it's something that, just charge it to me being ignorant and not knowing, but correct me with love as well. Like, I'm here to learn and I'm here to grow. Just because this is my platform that I brought you here to do, and like you brought me on yours, you can always educate me because this is what this is about. Just like I may not know something, the audience member may not know something. So for me, when I write out questions, if I feel like it's going to be touchy or it's going to be emotional, I do give my guests the heads up. A part of my show is telling them what it is that we are going to discuss, and also letting them know that this is a safe space, that we can stop rolling at any time. If there's something that they don't feel comfortable discussing, they can let me know. No harm, no foul.
Is that easier for you in a space with having a full audience? Watching and listening, you can hear the energy in the room as you're putting out energy, when the audience is putting out energy. And then there's even those moments where it gets dead silent, and I see you up there thinking like, okay, this is about to come out and I don't know how they're going to react. So what is that like? Does it make those conversations easier?
Say it's like that exciting kind of unknown, what you don't know what it is you're going to get. But for me, I'm kind of prepared either way. I think for me, my background is being grown up in a Caribbean household. So we have a lot of that rigidness and kind of that tough talk. So if somebody is not with it, I'm already mentally prepared. I know how to accept and pivot. And if somebody is with it and maybe their emotions are going to get the best of them, then I know how to comfort them and kind of bring it down, bring the energy, where it needs to be to get them, to a level of comfort. Because at the end of the day, I want people to feel good about coming on my show. I don't want them to ever feel like, again, that they've been used, because, I've heard of that all the time. People like, go on certain platforms and it's not settling for them. They don't feel good about it. When people come on, I want people to be excited about what we've created and what we've done, because like Beyonce said, I'm sensitive about my shit. So it gotta be all the way 100, So I just do my best to prepare, and, whatever happens down the line, then I'm going to deal with it accordingly. But I think my basis is, if the root of what I'm doing is sincere, genuine, and from the heart, everything else is going to follow that lead accordingly. That's what I like to deal with it.
The love is received. I can tell you I feel it when I watch you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Don't make me cry on here.
No, all the tears are going to come down. Can I ask Andrew, Ebony, how you guys met? Because it seems like you guys have a little bit of a history before that live show that I attended.
Well, I already listened to you just a little bit before I came to Atlanta. So you had already come up on my feed. And then because of the Open Relationship podcast, I was like, I'm just going to stalk her quietly from the background. And if I see her, I'm going to say hi.
Yeah, but we eventually met at the Open Relationship Podcast live event, and I'm an energy girl. Like, I feel people's like energy and their excitement. So I was kind of like, I was definitely drawn to him, and I was also drawn to you. You just seem, Francis, you just like a little reserved, maybe a little quiet, but I like those types too.
You're talking about me or Andrew?
Both of y'all. You're the quiet one.
I am, yeah.
But
I was very, I don't know. I felt like it was a very queer friendly live show, and here I am, like the vanilla straight married man. Like, what perspective am I gonna give that's gonna be relevant at all? So I really wanted to, like when you were having a Q&A with the audience before the actual live show, I really wanted to, come up and talk about, my experience listening to the Open Relationship podcast and loving it and whatnot. But I don't know. I guess I was just like not leaning into the discomfort, and was just feeling out of my element, and was just like wanting to be the quiet observer and just see things. And I just, I wish I would have been a more active of a participant like Andrew, who was, sharing about his olive oil lube experience.
Things happen. If you can't take the heat, you got to get out the kitchen, okay?
Yeah.
Listen, the great thing about you, even though you're saying that you were out of your element, sometimes it's good for you to experience those things. So then, like the next time, I think more hetero males need to lean into that. You can be in these queer spaces. Nothing's gonna happen to you. They're just having a good time, and they're doing it, and they are not, concerned with if you're hetero, if you're queer or not, as long as everybody's just having a good time and the vibe is there. So I would say kudos to you for being in a space like that, feeling a little uncomfortable, but still sticking through it and gaining something from it. Because it's nothing wrong with vibing out with a group of people that's here to have a good time. And a good time is indeed that was had.
Yeah, it was so, I mean, the concept of the podcast, first of all, Open Relationship, I loved it. I mean, at least from what I saw at the live show, these guys really lean into, being vulnerable and sharing their experiences, with their personal lives and relationships, sexual preferences, things like that. And yeah, I mean, there was twerking. Marco, one of the hosts, had his shirt off. There was lube being thrown on the floor. I mean, it was a really interesting show to see. I mean, it was my very first podcast live show, so
that was
it's going to be hard.
It was my first live show at first, just to share a little bit with y'all too. Like, that was my first time ever hosting anything.
So how did the Open Relationship podcast come to you and say, like, hey, Ebony, like, please host as the Fly Ant? How did that connection happen?
I kind of told them that I wanted to host. So I don't know if you guys are aware, but there is Black Effect host a podcasting networking event back in April at Pullman Yards. And it's something they've been doing annually. So I think this was the second or the third one. I know Rodney because me and Rodney worked together at a company together. So that's where I know Rodney from. So I would watch his podcast from that time. And so we were hanging out, and they was talking about they're going to do a live show. And I was like, y'all need a host. I was like, I would love the opportunity to host the show. Because we were hanging out, all day. We went and had drinks and ate afterward. And they stayed true to that. They gave me the opportunity to host. And, I got a lot of great feedback from hosting the event. So that's how I came to host. And that was my first time hosting. So
you were a natural. I loved it. I mean, I think you just brought a nice conversational energy to the show. It was Yeah, it was great. I mean, I loved, just the interaction with the audience, keeping the momentum moving, and certainly when sometimes the live show, lost control for a little bit. I mean, you were in your element and you kept things going. So I think it was great for a first time.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. If you have anything you want me to host, I'll host that too.
I would personally love that. And I could not tell that was your first time hosting. There's this energy you have, Ebony, and I don't know how to describe it fully, but if you've ever met somebody and you could just sit down and talk with them and be like, hey, auntie, I just need to talk to you. Like, and you're going to tell them something that you would not tell your parents, you would not tell your brothers, your sisters, but you're that open space and energy. Where does that come from for you?
I appreciate you seeing that, and I appreciate you recognizing that. For me, I grew up in a Caribbean household, and, we were not very open with our feelings or emotions. Everything was a little bit rigid. What did we know? We were loved? Yes. So for me, I always take it as a badge of honor, honestly, when people feel comfortable and vulnerable enough to want to have a conversation with me, to want to speak about things, sometimes that they've never told anybody. And people just naturally open up to me. And I think that's because I present myself and I am just like a welcoming spirit for whatever reasons. And sometimes it works to my advantage and sometimes it doesn't. But I can tell you one time I went to a bar, I'm just trying to decompress, honey. The lady started telling me her whole life story. I mean, and I sat and I listened, I gave her this advice and that advice, and then I went home. I think, God gives us like spiritual gifts, and I think that's definitely probably, one of those gifts that I have. And, I'm thankful for it that people see that, recognize that, and also use it, because I think we are all here to serve a purpose more than just paying bills, more than, the hustle and bustle of working and providing. And I think we all need to take some time and kind of lean in to figure out what our spiritual gifts are and what our gifts are and how we can use them and put it back out into the world. So that's how I look at it. I'm just like, I take it as a badge of honor. You want to come in, you want to talk to Auntie? Auntie gonna give you some advice. You want some advice, or you just want me to listen? Just tell me which one first, and we can rock it out from there.
Do you have an auntie? I'm sorry. Do you have an auntie in your life? Do you have someone that you can reach out to in the same way that people?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. She's phenomenal. Her name is Priscilla Francis. She's actually a therapist out in Houston. So again, just being a person that tapped into her gifts, she went in and became a therapist, and that's who I lean into. And it's not like therapist talk, but that's like my aunt. And the funny thing about my aunt, she's actually years younger than me. My grandfather, he loved the ladies. So
kindly said. Sorry, Andrew, you had a question?
Well, I want to follow up with you on having a gift like that, because gifts are real. God gives us things and we have things to work miracles. But there's that opposite side of it. You've got this ability, people open up to you. If you're an empath, you're going to pick up those emotions. Do you ever get to that point of, I've reached my limit, I can't take any more people opening up to me? And when you do, what do you do about that?
That's a great question. For me, I believe in the path of rejuvenation. And I also believe in, kind of call it triaging. There are certain things in my regular life that I may not take on when I know that I have my people around me that indeed need something. So for example, like when it comes to social media, there's stuff that I just don't even engage in. Like, no disrespect to anybody else that doesn't, like, I don't watch stuff that like violent fights. I don't take that kind of stuff in. Gossip, blog kind of stuff. I don't really take that in. I only have one friend and she's very light with her blogging and stuff like that. Things that are negative, death, for the, for to me, to the outside world, I'm cognizant and I don't take any of that on, and I don't take any of that with me. Like when people be dropping and falling and people get a kick out of that stuff, I don't take any of that kind of thing. And, I remember, how we all have our friends that share reels with us and stuff like that. And the reel that she shared, someone was being, shot, pow, pow. And, I had to lovingly tell her, like, please don't send me stuff like that. So I'm very aware of what I'm taking in, because I know that for me, my calling, I have people around me that have stuff that they really need to work through, and I'm going to be a sounding board for that. So that's kind of how I keep that stuff at bay. And also in my personal life too, my circle is very limited in regards to anything. Like I don't deal with the draining souls, like there's some people you can give advice to and they won't take it. They rather sit in their stuff so they can have a reason to complain, because that's easier versus than changing. Those types of people keep away from me. And then whatever, and then I focus whatever energy and messages need to be brought onto the podcast. But again, it's just important to be aware of what it is that you're taking in, because something an ex told me, garbage in, garbage out. And that has always stuck with me. So that's how I keep it going. On top of that, I'm a girly. I go for walks. I love nature. I go to the infrared sauna. I'm going to get my mani, my pedi. I'm going to get my hair done. I'm going to do those things that make me feel good as well. But as far as emotionally and all of that stuff, I'm cognizant of what I take in, and also I go to therapy as well.
Can I ask, like, what led you to the journey to therapy? Was there because a lot of people tend to have that like big like meltdown climactic moment in life where it's like, crap, I need therapy. Did that happen for you, or was it just sort of like a regular day and you just said, I need to speak to someone?
That's a good question. I think for me, being the rock of my circle, being the strong one in my circle, I probably could go to my friends, but I feel like sometimes it's just better for you to get an objective opinion, like someone you can be your most vulnerable self, and they're already getting paid. They just want to help you anyway. Mm-hmm. So for me, I found myself in a space that some things I really did not know how to navigate and how to woo side from. So going to speak to a therapist, a professional, they help give me some tools on how to navigate my stresses better and how to prioritize myself. And that's important, because a lot of us we think we're prioritizing ourselves, but we're really not. So for sure.
Yeah. And growing up with religious Haitian immigrant parents, there is an emphasis on giving onto others, thinking about others, which is great. Love that. There were a lot of times where it came at the cost of, tending to yourself and, making sure you got yourself covered. So, yeah, I think it's definitely important to put that out there. I mean, it's very easy to perceive that message as like, being self-centered, being selfish, whatever. But yeah, just having that balance of like prioritizing your own needs and also still having the time to think about others and giving unto others. I think that's very important.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you're an 80s baby, you said, right? So I know you're a millennial regardless. So what are we talking about? Like early, mid, late 80s?
80.
80. Okay. So you have what's your relationship with 90s pop culture? Because you were pretty much coming of age, preteen, teenager. Is there, whether it be Family Matters or just anything other than that?
I was one of the girls that crushed on Urkel.
Stefan.
I was definitely one of those girls. I've always and maybe this has got me in trouble, but I've always the kind of nerdy boy, with a little charm. That's always been my little niche. I would never go after the pretty boy, whatever. That wasn't what I was attracted to. I always liked super smart, ones that are super intelligent, good grades, and they have that talk game, if that makes sense. So I loved Urkel, Stefan, and it's just nostalgia memories, because those are the times when we grew up. Maybe you had a VCR, maybe you didn't, but those were the times I can actually recall sitting down with my mom, and my sister watching TV, and we're laughing and we're being entertained by Family Matters. We're wondering where's Laura, all of those things. So it's like, it's nostalgia. Another 90s show I definitely enjoyed. I loved Living Single.
Yep.
But Moesha and the Parkers, that's another one that I absolutely, her writing in her diary when Kimmy and them.
Yeah.
It's just like relatable. Like, you just have your little friend group, your little crew, and now to look at it, the stuff we thought we were going through was like end of the world stuff in our teenage years, and like, look at us now out here living.
I love that. Love that. And what I love is that nowadays through Netflix or TikTok clips or whatever, you see these shows having new life. I mean, I think I saw The Parkers the other day on Netflix, and I'm like, that's wonderful because, unfortunately, maybe people have negative views of Monique based on, the Oscars controversy or whatever, but
she was an iconic mom.
Yeah, she was a queen of comedy.
Just had a little crush on a little Professor Ogilvy and just tried to make it.
A little crush, more like a very.
So hair was laid.
Every episode.
Plus size. That's relatable because that was a lot of our moms. Like, going to get their hair done, dressing up, going out to the club, maybe trying to chase a little man down here and there.
Yeah.
Moms were. It was I found it was so relatable. It wasn't, unfortunately, I feel like a lot of TV now can be very over sexualized. It wasn't that. It was like they stuck to like the issues that teenagers really have now that I look back on it. It had a lot of strong messaging behind it.
Moesha was really good at that. I mean, if I remember correctly, between Moesha and the Parkers to me, I remember laughing at almost every episode. And Moesha, to me, what stands out is like the deeper episodes. Like they had some serious stuff going on, and I can't quite remember. Do you remember like a really deep?
I think one running theme like throughout was Moesha's mom being gone, and the mom, I know Shirley Rao, but I forgot her name on the show, but just trying to tackle being a good mom to Moesha, not trying to fill the shoes of her mom, but just trying to know what her lane was in the boundaries as being a stepmom, wanting respect in the household, and still being a good wife to Frank and all of those stuff. That was like a continuous running theme for me, just trying to you have this teenage daughter that's lost her mom, and now here I am loving on her dad and doing all of these things and trying to be her mom, and she's just like got me at arm's length away. It's a real thing, for many, like even if you reverse it, like that's the stepdad's world. Most of the time it's not the mom that's outside the home, it's the dad outside the home, and then they have a boyfriend. The stepdad is trying to find his way.
No, I do. Oh my God, forgive me. I literally just had a brain fart. I, like you with my mom, would sit down and watch TGIF. We'd be watching the Parkers. We watch all of it together. Are there any shows, or have you kept that tradition going with your children now?
It's funny that you bring it up, and it's because I've always said, because like now they have this reboot of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I thought I'm going to start to watch that with my kid so we can kind of have that little bonding memory. Because like kids today are different. They're not really into TV, maybe YouTube, but like they're not into like the TV. Like, how we were, like it was Thursday nights, Martin was coming on TV, we was ready and rocking and rolling. I remember, if you remember that time, it was like, it felt like an April Fool's Day, and they told us Martin wasn't coming on. We were going crazy. We was like, to come on. There was like April Fools and the show aired, so we was like really happy about that. But I feel like kids are not gonna know that, like that whole Saturday morning cartoon watching. For me, it was we had the good HBO at my grandma's house. It was Fraggle Rock for me in the mornings, on Saturday mornings, Jem and the Holograms. The nostalgia of those shows. So like when I see Jem and the Hologram clips, I'm like, oh my God, how old am I really? This is really showing my age.
Oh my God. Wait. You said you had good HBO. There was bad HBO back in the day? What do you mean by that? Like a good reception? What? I'm asking. I have no idea what you're talking about.
So I'm gonna tell
You know
you,
what?
John.
Back in those days, not everybody had HBO.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It was very.
That's a premium channel.
It still
Okay.
is, yeah.
So, but even back in those days, that was like premium. So if you had HBO, you really had it going. You had a little coin. Grandma had a little coin in her pocket.
Wait, can you speak from personal experience, Andrew? It seems like you have the same thing too.
100%. So my grandparents, they had the good television. So every weekend I was like, Mom, can I just stay over here and I can come home on Sunday? I'll even go to church. Like I was like, I'm staying. Because at home, we could pick up HBO on the antennas from somebody else's house, but it was all like blurry and staticky. So it was the bad one.
Wow. So that was like the old school equivalent of stealing someone's Wi-Fi almost.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
You see, like, so I mean, my family, like, we were like middle class, sort of lower middle class-ish once my parents separated, and we've always had a basic cable package, and I've always looked at HBO from afar as like, oh yeah, that's the premium service where maybe you'll catch Playboy After Dark at like midnight or whatever. Like, it wasn't like, I don't know. It wasn't until like high school, maybe college, where I started to see like, oh, this is the network where you have your Curb Your Enthusiasm, your Game of Thrones, like all these quality shows. Like I think once upon a time I thought, oh yeah, you get HBO if you want to watch like porn and people cursing.
Yes. That's after a certain time, it definitely turned into that. Just like our BET Uncut.
Oh yeah. Now what was that? That was like music videos that were just uncensored, like after midnight, right?
And let me tell you, I would tune in because I'm catching Nelly's tip drill. And when I was in high school, I had to practice. I needed to practice my dance moves. I'm trying to catch Nelly's tip drill video.
Oh my God. Did you sneak and watch the videos? I did. I was like, I'm staying up for BET After Dark. And I pretended like I was asleep to sneak out bed.
Definitely one of those. Have the TV remote set to last just in case my mom come walking in so she don't catch me watching some crazy video that's coming on. Yeah, for sure. BET Uncut. Yeah.
Were there bare titties? Like what was happening on Uncut? Like
Just a lot of ass shaking.
Mm-hmm.
Girls with bikinis, just a lot of ass shaking and men slapping booty and you know what I mean today, like in today's world, of course it's nothing because we're kind of desensitized. But back when I was in high school and stuff like that, that was a big deal. That's not on the air during prime hours for sure. Kids are supposed to be in the bed while that video is playing.
Yeah. The desensitization is correct because when I was in high school in like the mid to late 2000s, a lot of that stuff that you're talking about, like 106 in Park in the middle of the day on BET, you could see that. So yeah, I know what you mean.
I saw My Neck, My Back the first time on BET Uncut, and I was like, what is this song?
I love that. God, what was Andrew? Do you have another question? I had one, but I totally forgot.
I had another question for you because there was an episode that I was watching, and well, technically I was driving, so I couldn't actually look at my phone to see the episode. But it was just you on the couch, and you were taking questions from the audience. And is that something you're going to do more of? I love your content, but that episode had me gagged.
Okay, yeah. So definitely for sure, I want to definitely incorporate, getting more people's questions and opinions. I'm kind of going through some things like, as we go through seasons in shows and whatever we're doing, we always want to improve and see what we can expand upon. So definitely taking in questions is something I definitely want to do. Maybe somebody has a question I can answer to the best of my ability. So absolutely want to do that. I'm also thinking of, maybe doing some TV recaps, just how I can just expand on it because, one thing about us, we're not just like one note. We can do so many things. But the thing about me is like, I got to hone in because if I get too, I'll be doing some of everything and I'll be burnt out.
Yeah, totally get that. What show would you recap?
I'm a reality TV. So I enjoy a good reality TV show, but I love a lot of scripted shows. So I don't know if you guys have ever watched Mayor of Kingstown is a really good show that I enjoy to watch. That's like on Paramount Plus. I love Power, all of the Powers, Ghost, Raising Kanan. Hulu right now, I'm enjoying Reasonable Doubt. So, currently, I have a pretty good following on TikTok from just doing my Love and Marriage clips and comments there, Love and Marriage Huntsville. So, I love talking about TV and giving my little honest feedback on it and putting my little spin on it too. So,
You have an anticipated listener. I need to know what you think when you finish Reasonable Doubt.
okay.
What's it about? I've never heard of it.
So Reasonable Doubt, it follows a lawyer who's getting accused of murder, and the lawyer is trying to prove his case that it's not him.
That's all you can tell me without spoiling it?
Yeah, I don't want to spoil it for you. It's so good though.
It is. It's really, really good. And weakness for me is when you have like a good looking cast. Like, to me, that just makes the show even better. And I think someone that's really good at that is Tyler Perry. I know people talk bad about Tyler Perry, but when Tyler Perry casts people, he always, especially the men, honey, he gives good eye candy, and I love him for that.
Yeah, the first thought that came to mind was Idris Elba and what was that, Daddy's Little Girl?
Yeah. Always gives good eye. Both sides, the women be beautiful too, but he gives when they take off the shirt. Okay, I'm done. I'm sorry.
No worries. Yeah, no, I mean, Tyler Perry is good for something. That's good.
It's okay. I watch every Tyler Perry movie knowing what I'm going to see, but when I see those men, as long as they don't have on a bad wig like that cornrow wig that he put in that first movie, I am happy.
He's come a long way since then. I will give him that. But the candy, and I love that it's a fresh face. Like it's not always somebody that's known. So on a deeper level, I respect the fact that he gives people an opportunity to showcase their artistry.
Wait, what are the cornrows that you're talking about? Because I remember, I think it was Shamar Moore who had what I now know as fake cornrows in Medea's Family Reunion. Like it wasn't real, and it looked fake for real.
It looks like he's got a helmet on his head. It doesn't look real.
Definitely a wig.
I remember seeing that movie in the theaters and didn't think much of it. And it was because that was my first time seeing Shamar Moore. And then I saw like a clip of like what I think he was like on Criminal Minds or whatever, and seeing the haircut. And it was like, okay, that's a different view of hair. I love that. Hey, Ebony, how can we find you? For anyone listening, taking in Conversations with the Fly on for the first time, how can they keep in touch with your content?
Sure. So you can find me on all of my social media is The Fly Aunt, AUNT, and I'm on all podcasting platforms, Conversations with the Fly Aunt, or you can type in Ebony Ivory and find me there. I would love to have you. I love to engage with people that listen to me. And also, if you listen to the podcast, give it 5 stars, help us out a little bit, and subscribe to my YouTube. So I'm on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, The Fly Aunt. And Conversations with the Fly Aunt podcast is on all podcasting platforms, and the visuals are on YouTube as well.
So I haven't gotten a chance to listen to your financial literacy episode, but you got me when you mentioned that. Before we let you go, can you explain in like a few blunt words what our broke asses in 2024 can do to get more money?
Okay. Budget. Think before you spend. Is it a need? Or is this a want? Invest. Do acorns. That'll start you off. As little as $5 a month. Start yourself off. So those are my top. Budget, invest, spend less. Is this a need or a want? And save.
I definitely have to work on wants versus needs. I have a lot of wants.
My little trick is if it's online, leave it in your cart for 3 days.
That'll give you time to think about it. And then if you come back in 3 days and you decide that you don't want it anymore, then it's more of a want than a need. Is that what you're saying?
It's more of an impulsive buy.
Good to know. Good to know.
More because in 3 days, if you don't want it, it's very much impulsive. Another thing that I do is like I'm careful on social media what I like what I watch, like when they have the little commercials, because if you pause on a commercial too long, that's all it's gonna start. The advertisements of it, It's all gonna start feeding your line. So that's another thing too.
Yeah, damn it. I don't need any more, advertisements for videos or University of Phoenix.
John, you're about to get flooded with Phoenix University messages now.
It's okay. Phoenix is really hot. I would rather not be there. Thank you. Well, I mean, it's an online
Yeah,
only
it's
thing.
hella hot. It's hella hot for sure.
Well, that's why it's an online only thing, because they know nobody wants to go there. So is Ebony Ivory? I see that on Zoom. Ebony Ivory, is that your actual name?
It is.
Love that. That is wonderful. Thank you so much for being with us. And yeah, we'll stay.
Here, and I appreciate the invite. You guys were amazing.
And it is.
Some really thoughtful questions.
Thank you. Thank you for answering those thoughtful questions. And Andrew and I are very determined to do a live show for the Delicious Recap one day, and we would love to have you as a host if that ever comes to fruition.
Well, let's start speaking life into it. So it will happen one day, and I will be honored to host and happy to host.
Thank you so much. That was a blessing to us.
Yes.
Absolutely. Speak life over whatever it is you do, because life is sense and doubt is sense. So just always remember that. Be intentional with your words always until it actually becomes an action.
Yes. That is a good lesson to learn, because that's something that I struggle with. I have a lot of insecurity over, saying definitive and, having that fear of like, oh my God, is it going to happen? Is it not going to happen? And I'm trying to get into the habit of speaking definitively about things instead of just like.
Well, listen, hey, that's Auntie's piece of advice today. Be intentional, be actionable. You all have the power to make whatever it is that you guys want to do happen. Nobody else is in control of that. And one thing that I know from personal experience is when you decide to make a step towards whatever your goals and desires are, the universe takes 2 steps behind you. The universe is just waiting on you.
Thank you for that. That was much needed. I love that.
I received that. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. So what are y'all getting into after the podcast?
I have to finish up editing on one of our episodes. It's quite a time-consuming thing, but I'll get it done tonight. What about you, Andrew?
Sleep will be my best friend. I have driven for 16 hours straight, and I am ready for bed.
Yeah.
Well, I drove back up from Florida. After the podcast, I went to Florida for friends for a week, and I drove back up from last night up to today. So I'm like, okay, it's time for bed.
You based in Atlanta?
No, I'm in Rochester, New York. So I'm tip-top near Canada up here.
I actually would love to go to Niagara Falls on the Canadian side, though.
I mean, if you ever come this way, I got you covered. It's only a 2-hour drive from here to the Canadian side.
I'm holding you to that because it's on my bucket list. I ain't dying, but that's on my bucket list.
I got you covered.
Love it. Yeah, so I'm only 2 minutes from the Canadian border here in Vermont, actually.
So, do they really have the best ice cream in Vermont?
Well, I don't know the best ice cream ever. I mean, I would have to go through plenty of other places. We are the home of Ben & Jerry's, so there is that. So if you want to come.
What's Vermont stush?
So Vermont is known for its maple syrup, and people are uppity about that. I say it all tastes the same to me. That's controversial to say, but whatever, I'm saying it. We're known for a very beautiful fall foliage. If you come here during the fall, first of all, don't, because it's packed with tourists. It's annoying, but yeah, we have a beautiful fall foliage if you love to look at the leaves. We're known for the winter. People, if there is snow, people typically like to come here and ski and snowboard and stay in cabins and whatnot. So yeah, we're kind of known for all those things.
I love that. Okay, Mr. Vermont.
Yeah. I'm not from here, but, the circumstances in life just eventually led me to here and, got a wife and a house, and I DoorDash like.
How did you end up in Vermont? But that might be another episode.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I mean, long story short, I used to work in commercial radio, and with commercial radio, you just go wherever the job is. So I'm originally from Connecticut, and I started radio there and took it to Iowa. I spent a year and a half doing radio in Iowa, and then found another radio opportunity in Vermont. I worked in upstate New York, not too far from Andrew for a hot second. So yeah, work brought me here. And then I eventually just liked the lifestyle and met my wife here, and yeah,
Oh,
I'm here.
I love it. A love story in Vermont.
Yes, a love story in Vermont. It is, yeah, it's great. I mean, I wouldn't change it for anything else in the world. Thank you so much. I mean, I hope you have a great rest of your night. What do you have planned for the rest of the night?
I'm back in school, so probably writing up on some discussion posts that I dread, but schoolwork and weekend, I like to say my suburban mom stush. So me and some suburban moms are gonna check out a new park that just opened and then we're gonna go to Trader Joe's.
I love that.
That's a dream weekend. I like that.
I love that. You guys sound like the greatest Facebook group ever, because when I think of like, suburban moms getting together, I think, oh, you guys must have like a Facebook group chat thread thing going on.
We definitely have our little group chat. We schedule our walks during the day. Like, if we're meeting at 1 or 3, how many loops we're taking around the neighborhood. My shims are hurting. I'm only doing 1 loop this week. Yes. The suburban moms are well and alive, and we are enjoying community. And I think that's like a big thing that some people can kind of forget. Like when you live in your neighborhood or your apartment building or whatever, build community. Like these people, if something goes wrong, or they're the people that's gonna see something and pay attention and notice something. So I tell people all the time, like, I'm definitely that neighbor. Like, I want to know who lives across the street from me. If you need a couple garbage bags till next week, I got you. Build community and lean into that, because 9 times out of 10, I done saw something that you need to know about, or vice versa. You gotta look out for each other. It's not everybody doesn't have to be so so
Yeah.
that kind of thing. We don't have to speak every day, but I'm an advocate for building community and getting to know the people that you live in your surroundings. And then I have my favorite girls, and I call us the ladies of Westbridge.
That sounds like a great show on Netflix I would watch. I love that. I love that so much.
The drama of the HOA, top tier.
I bet. Oh my God. I'd love to hear more about that another time. Ebony, have a great night, and we'll keep in touch, and we'll let you know when the episode comes out.
Love it. It was amazing speaking with you guys. Blessings over the podcast. Until the next time.
Until the next time, see you. Thank you for being here.
All right. Bye-bye. All right. That was fabulous.
Okay, there we go. I muted myself, but I didn't mean to.
That's okay. That's okay. Yeah, no, that was great. I mean, I'm so glad that we met her in Atlanta at the live show, and I look forward to just, continuing to connect with. She was a fabulous person, lots of great energy there.
Ebony is amazing. Amazing. I feel the same thing. Like, I met her at the live show, even though I had heard her, and I was like, I feel like I can just go up to her and be like, so let me tell you what happened, girl. And I just love that feeling about her.
Yeah, she's great. That's the best kind of person. Not to make it all self-centered, but, I've been told in the past that, if I listen to you, I give off a vibe of like, oh, I could tell you anything. And blah, 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 blah. My wife, certainly. I don't know. There's something about, I think it's the hair. She has like multicolored hair. And I think a lot of people see that as like, oh, this is like a very open-minded, kind, friendly person, which she is. And I think ever since I met her, she's told me that lots of strangers come up to her and just tell her like the most personal things just randomly out of nowhere, like, oh, not getting it in the bedroom, or, oh God, I picked up some cat turd the other day. It's just random stuff that she doesn't need to know, but people just feel that comfort with certain people. And that's great, I guess.
I wouldn't go with that. People come up to me and just talk to me randomly all the time, and I think they think I'm very approachable, which I am, but I'm just high. I am just high. That is why I look so lackadaisical all the time.
Okay. Hey, nothing wrong with that. Whatever gets you grooving and relaxing for the day, that's great. I love that. All right, Conversations with the Fly on. Please find it wherever you get your podcast. And the Delicious Recap, same thing. Find us wherever you get your podcasts. Facebook, Instagram, Patreon, TikTok, whatever. We're on all the social medias. Subscribe to the Patreon, patreon.com/Delicious Recap for early Family Matters Season 2 episode access and behind-the-scenes conversations, all that good stuff for just $5 a month. Any other house announcements to make?
Sorry, as they pop up along, make sure that you guys share the episode, listen, follow, leave us comments. Excuse me, I'm so sorry.
You're good.
Leave us comments. We always love that. And the interaction is amazing. So engagement is the key.
Awesome. All right, Andrew, how about you? If you're able to not cough, how about you sign us off so we could quickly do this Patreon post chatter so you could get some sleep, and hopefully I'm not too late editing tonight.
Well, I am so excited that we had this great conversation with Ebony Ivory. Not only does her name sound like a great song, but she was like music to our ears, and our ears had a delicious treat here. So we're going to let that ring.
Join Jackie and Danielle, two best friends and ex-Blockbuster employees who are rewatching some of their favorite movies from the late 90s and early 2000s on the No More Late Fees podcast. And remember, be kind and rewind.
30 Dirty and Dying is the podcast for flailing millennials by flailing millennials. Every week, two sick, sad millennials who just happen to be best friends get together to talk about what it's like hitting the 30 mark and still feeling like you don't quite have your life together.
We're 30-ish, we're dirty-ish, we're dying-ish.
Thinking about the fact that I am 31 years old, I don't want to wake up I don't know how to keep going, and I just started crying a little bit.
When you say like, oh, I'm so stressed, oh, I'm burnt out, oh, I want to jump into traffic.
Who knows? We're both not well off. We're not well health-wise.
We're just a little unwell.
As a millennial, didn't want to go to the doctors.
No, same.
Still,
I'm just like, Every week we go back in time to relive the years of our millennial youth, whether that's cringe posts from the earliest days of social media or all the way back to the 90s to see what was going on in pop culture. Let's talk about 1997.
Super cringy. The bubble, dog.
Like, I'm looking through all of my Facebook statuses right now.
Me too.
I'm only in May.
Yeah.
And I hate myself.
Jeans and low.
And people want those back, and then us millennials are like, keep our high-waisted, please. Please let us have high-waisted jeans.
Millsbury was a community created by General Mills cereal. I mean, there's so many reasons I was a loser in 2010. We're calling it a millennial midlife crisis, heavy on the existential dread. And we're coping with everything we got. Dark humor, nostalgia, real talk about real things, and just trying to have a good time, laughing through the pain, if you will.
So much for my happy ending.
Whoa. Jessica.
Bring it around.
Haunt me, Daddy. 30 Dirty and Dying is available on all major podcast platforms, including Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We have new episodes every 30 Thursday, and you can follow us on TikTok and Instagram at 30 Dirty and Dying to keep up with what our millennial midlife crisis looks like next.